Are you looking to design an attractive events application? Let's build it together in this video. Want to level up your skills in full stack development? Then check out my courses. Links are there in the description. All the content is well structured, which will help you to learn quicker. We are going to start our events application with the welcome screen. This is a welcome screen that is designed with the help of a plugin called Swiper.js that we are going to implement into our application right now. Before that, I have created a new application which is up and running here, for which the command that I have used is Ionic start event app blank, then -- type equals to Angular, and I have selected this standalone project. Then run the Ionic serve, you are good to go. It's time to create a welcome screen because by default we have the home screen and I don't want to work with the home screen directly now. The command for creating a new page is Ionic G page and then the name of the page. There you go. This page is created now. I'll get inside it. We'll clear up everything here, and in the TypeScript also, we are just going to remove everything from the imports. We don't need anything here. Alright, now it is cleaned up properly and we are going to jump to the welcome screen directly from our URL. As by default it has home. We are going to change that also in our app.route.ts file. In the path, the default path will be welcome for me. And this time if I change the URL once again to 8100, it's going to redirect me to the welcome screen now. Let's install the swiper. So npm I swiper. It is installed now. Let's check it out in the package.json file. What is the version that is installed here, which is 11.1.5. We are going to work with the ion content here. So let me just show you the complete design, where I have given full screen to true and color to be dark. We need a dark theme at the background one. Don't worry about it. We are going to have an image there. But before working with the ion content, I'm going to start working with the ion footer also because we need a button there. Let's design it quickly, which is actually pretty simple to work with because we just need a toolbar and an ion button within that, to which I've given some properties like expand block, shape round, color to be primary, size, I need a bigger size, strong to be true, which means that this particular text will be bold, and I'm just hovering on it and it will be imported automatically. Finally, I have used router link, which is going to redirect to the home page. If I click on the get started button, that's what it means. But in order to use the router link, since I have removed all the imports earlier on, like the common module and the forms module, but those are not related to router link, we need either the router module or directly pass the router link here in the imports one. Once you do that up, you can use the get started one. If I click on it, just see I'm getting redirected to the home page. Let's get back to our HTML one. Now, before going ahead, I'm going to design it up by changing the sizes and the colors of the background. So I'll go to the SCSS of the welcome screen and work with the ion footer here, where I'm going to work with the ion toolbar to give a background of black color, that is 000. This is the hex code for it. Then I've given some padding here. And finally, the button which I'm using, I've given a font size to the ion text which we have used inside the ion button of a font size of 0.9 rem, so that it looks a little smaller. By default it was quite big. We don't want that, and now it is fine. Let's work with the other things. In order to use this Swiper.js, we need to register it at first, and if you're using multiple times, then you need to register to a specific location. That's gonna be our app.component.ts file, because I will be using it in the home page also. That is why I need to be assured that I don't need to register it again and again. And for that, passing it in the app.component.ts file is fine if you're using it multiple places. Otherwise, pass it in those places where you're using it. Once that is done, we are good to use the Swiper.js into our application. Now, some prerequisite things are there which we need to do into our TS file, which are going to be an array for the onboarding screens that I'm going to have, and after that I need a swiper module which will be an array that will hold the Ionic slides, with the help of which we can directly import the stuff that are needed in the Swiper.js, all the modules that are required to work with. And this particular Ionic slides, you need to pass it in the imports. So Ionic slides, I'm going to pass it where we have at Ionic /Angular/standalone one. Once I do that up, the error is gone and we can now work with the other things in the HTML of the welcome page. But before that, in the prerequisite, you need to add the icons also in your assets ones. So I'm going to add all the things and I'm going to show you up now. Now you can see in the assets folder, I have the onboarding screens and in fact the IMJS folder also, where I have lots of images which we are going to use into our application. Now, first thing first, we need to work with the onboarding screens. These are the screens that I have. Let's design it up. Everything is good to go. In the HTML of the welcome screen, I'll work with the ion content here. So in Swiper.js, we need to pass the swiper container, which will hold all the images or whatever you are passing. These are some of the properties which you need to pass. First is the modules one, that is must. An identifier which is optional, you can pass or you can simply get rid of it also. Then pagination, if you want, make sure you have clickable to true, that's optional. But I want the pagination one because we need to show the design dashes one. Along with that, keyboard to true I have given. There are a lot of other options that you can pass with, like autoplay and all other stuff. We will look into that after some time, at the very end possibly. But for the time being, let's implement it up. And to get rid of this error, basically you cannot get rid of it directly. You need to do something in your TS file. So I'll just go to the TS file here. And after the imports, I need to work with the schemas here, where I have to pass custom element schema because this is not detected directly as a Ionic tag. It is not an Ionic tag. So sometimes these tags are not identified properly, and for that you need to pass custom element schema. That's how you can get rid of the error. Now we are error free and it's time to move ahead and work with the looping here, because we need to loop our onboarding screens. I don't want to create swiper slide again and again. And with that comes the next tag which we need to use is swiper slide, within which we will have each slide. This is actually each slide that we will have here. Now within this slide, I will just use a div in which I'm going to use the ng style to pass a background image to it. So I'm directly using the images that I have passed in the onboarding screens array into my div as a background image. So this is the proper URL, as we just have the image name into our onboarding screens array. That is why I have defined it here. Otherwise you can just modify the array also if you want to. Now in order to get rid of the error, I have to go to the TS file again of the welcome screen and need to pass here in the imports ng style. As we do not have any common module imported, I have removed that. That is why ng style is to be passed in this particular way. Now you can see all the errors are gone. We have formatted a document, but still we don't see anything here. Why? Well, that's because we need to define the height of this swiper container and in fact this slide also. Let's work with that into our SCSS file. So I am already into the SCSS file in which I'll start working with the ion content here. So into my ion content, I have passed the swiper container a background color of ion color primary to my pagination. So whatever pagination which we are using here will have the color of the primary one and a height of 100%. In fact, to the div also which we are using inside it, that is holding the background image, I've given a height of 100%. Background position center, that is important to show the image at the center position. And cover means it will take the whole size. Otherwise there is another option of contain here which you can use that will show the image properly. How much width and height it wants to take, it can take it. Okay, but I don't want that. I want the cover image. It should be covering the whole stuff, whether it is spreading or not, doesn't matter. And there won't be any repeat of the background image. That is why no repeat. It is must whenever you're using the background image. And if you want to change the height, let me pass here. If I pass 10 VH, let's see what happens. You can see it is changed. So you need to make sure you are passing the height properly to show the images. This is done now. You can simply swipe it and see the other images also, but still our design is not yet ready. The one that we saw, we need to design the same, for which we need to do some more styling here, and which needs to be applied on the bullets that we see here. You can see only one bullet, the other two are not visible because it was taking the dark color. So we need to pass some colors to that so that it becomes visible to us. And in fact, we have to design it also. For doing that, I need to play around with swiper container shadow CSS. So in order to work with the shadow CSS, like the bullet active, that is a shadow CSS class, you need to pass part here, colon part. That's how you activate it and work with it and change it up. Here I've given margin bottom of 1 pixel, so it is having a margin bottom of 1 pixel from the footer. Then width of 40 pixels and a border radius of 4 pixels. That is why the active bullet is looking like this, little bigger. Then for the other bullets that we have, which are not active currently, will have a margin bottom same as the active one, then a width of 15 pixels and a border radius is same as 4 pixels. After that, I have given a background color of white color and an opacity of 1. You can just remove this opacity, it is not needed. Okay, if you don't give that, it's not looking that great. So opacity 1 is must. You can change the color as per your requirement, and for the bullet one, we have already passed the color here, so we don't need to play around with the color part for the active bullet one. Okay, so design is ready, but not the colors. In order to work with the colors, I need to work with the theming part, for which I'll go to the, which one? Themes folder, then the variables.scss file, where we do not have anything currently because it is directly moved to the node modules one. It will give you the default theming that is present in the node modules. You can change it there, but it's not required. If you want different colors, definitely work here directly like we have used earlier. If you have worked with the earlier versions of Ionic, I'm going to show you how to do that up. For which, let me enlarge it, and I'm going to go to ionicframework.com and scroll down to the theming section. There you go. Go to the color generator here. These are the primary color, secondary color, tertiary color, and this is what you need to copy. Okay, so let me just copy this whole thing, or in fact I can change the colors here directly. How will I do that up? Let me show you. I'll change the primary color to have this particular color, and you can change the other colors also, the shade tint. And for the secondary one, let me pass a teal color. And finally the tertiary color I'm going to change, which is going to be little pinkish color, dark pink. So I think this color is okay. If you want to change it, definitely you are free to use it. Rest of the colors I'm going to keep it as it is and simply copy the whole stuff. Let me just do it. I'll copy it up and paste it here directly. Now once I do that up, I don't want the other colors to be changed, so I can remove those colors except the primary, secondary and tertiary color. So I have removed it and now it's fine. But for the primary color, I need to change the contrast also, because I don't want a dark color to be present. I want a text color to be lightish one, that is the white color. Okay, and I'm going to change it now. In fact, you can change this particular one also to 255, 255, 255. Okay, so I have changed this to white color. Whenever you have this particular background, the text color will be white now. Earlier it would have been dark color, which I don't want. So let's get back to our application and see how it looks like. There you go. You can see we have achieved the same design that you saw in this particular image. So we have successfully designed the welcome screen, and how beautifully it is transiting from one image to another or one slide to another. Let's get started with the home page now. You can in fact work with preferences storage to store this particular stuff so that you don't go to the welcome page again and again. But it's completely your choice. I'll just keep it as it is. The next part to work with is the home page. This is the design of the home page, in which I'm going to start working with the header part. This is our header, quite big header. Then this is the ion content, which will be the second part that we are going to design, in which we have the upcoming events, topics, that's going to be the categories, and finally we will have the list of events only. So the designs are different in every aspect. Let's start coding for that. Now in the home page HTML, I'm going to at first remove everything means the title and everything, we don't need that up. And in fact, in the ion content, let me remove the full screen. Along with that, all the stuff within the ion content. And in the SCSS, let's clean up. Now let's get back to our HTML of the home page and start working with the ion header part, in which what am I going to do? I'll work with an ion item here where lines will be none, of course. And within the ion item, I'm going to have an ion label of color light. And within that, an ion icon of locate outline name and an text of events near me. Let's check it out how it looks like. So events near me is not showing up properly because I've given color to the ion label of light color. And after this div within the ion label, I'm having a p tag where I've given a location Delhi, India. Now for the ion header, I'm just going to remove the border here by passing a class ion no border, and the border will be removed. Then I'm going to work with the ion toolbar in the SCSS, for which I'll give a class of, let's say, wrapper, because there will be a lot of ion toolbar we are going to use within the home page. That is why I don't want to mix it up. So giving a user defined class to it and work with that in the SCSS here. Now at first I'm going to pass ion header background color, then I'm going to work with the toolbar class wrapper where I'm going to pass a background color hyphen background, because this is the CSS of the ion toolbar, which is the default one. That is why it is defined as hyphen background. Otherwise we could have given directly background, but that's not required here. We should always try to use the default properties at first, then use your own properties like the user defined one in the CSS. Here we have a URL, and for this image we already have it into our assets folder. Then no repeat, center and center covers. So that is what we are going to get: background position, background repeat, and finally the background size. This is how it's going to look. But still we don't see it properly because of the ion item color, that it has a default color, which I'm just going to remove it right now. So ion item, I'll give the background to be transparent, and here also I am passing hyphen background because that is also a default CSS of the ion item. Now we have defined an icon here, but it is not displayed. Why? Because we need to register those icons in our standalone project. For doing that, I'm going to go to the homepage TS file and work with it in the constructor itself. Remember, you can do it in the app.component.ts file also, but that is not a good practice, because if you have more icons defined there, then it's going to increase your chunk size, which is not a good deal to work with. That is why I have shown in some videos to pass it there, but still I would recommend not to do that. Pass it in the places where you are using it. If you do not have any issues with the increased chunks size, then you can definitely work with the app.component.ts file, but it would be better if you pass only few icons there, which are common ones. It's going to be fine. Rest of the things you can do it wherever you're using it. So in that context, I'm going to pass the add icons here and register my icon, which is going to be locate outline. All right. I'm not getting the suggestion here. In that scenario, you simply need to import it yourself. So import locate outline from ion icons / icons. If you do that up, error will go away and it will be imported properly. You will see the icon here showing up. That's how it works. Now in the ion item, still we are not done. After the ion label, I will have to work with an ion fab button, which you have already seen it in the design one. So ion fab button, I have given size to be small, within which I have an ion icon of notifications outline, which I'm just going to register in the constructor. Then I'm going to use an ion badge here for the dot. Okay, let's design it up. I'll go to the, in fact, for the icon, I have given color to be medium here. Now let's go to our TS file and register this particular icon, notifications outline. This is the one. I'll click on it and it will get imported automatically, with the help of which we can see the icon now. All right, so this is done. Now in the HTML, or actually in the CSS, we need to work with. Let's jump to that and start working with the ion item here. Now I could have worked directly here. Okay, after this CSS, I can pass all the other CSS for the ion item, but the same background transparent, I'm going to pass it somewhere else also. That is why I won't be working with this particular one. In fact, I'll be defining it differently. So this is my CSS, which I'm just going to use it for the iron item here, in which I have given margin of 3.5 VH on top and bottom, and left and right 0 margin. After that, on the iron label, I've given a font size of 0.75 rem to make it smaller in look. And for the icon one, I've given some margin right to 3 pixel to have some spacing between the two, between the icon and the text here, events near me. After that, in the iron label, we have seen that we have defined a div, which I'm using it to align everything in proper way, for which I'm using display to be flex. That is the first thing that you need to do. Then align item center and justify content to be flex start. If you do that up, it will be aligned vertically centered and justify content flex start. So it will be coming to towards the start one. If you pass center here, just see which one will move. Let me pass it and you will see this part getting moved. Okay. So now you have understood the div designing. And for the P tag, which is for Delhi, India, I have given margin top of 3 pixels to have some spacing here. Then a font size quite big, 1.8 rem, color of white color, and a font weight of bold. That is what I have given here, and it looks quite cool according to me. Finally, I have worked on the Iron Fab button to give a background of white color, because I don't want the default background or the primary background. I want to change the background because it looks quite clean here, right? That's why I've done this. This is also having hyphen, so it is a default property. That is what I have used here. If this is not working, that means this particular component is not having the default background property of the CSS. Then I have start working with the iron badge to place it properly, because it mostly works with some value like 1, 2, 3, ABC, whatever you want to give, you can give it up. But here we haven't given anything. I have just given a dot. And basically this is the stuff that I have passed here. Okay, I forgot what it is called. But if you give that up, it will give you a dot, bigger dot. Then I have just changed the color of it to be the primary color. Finally, the position to be absolute, top and right 0. So top 0 and right 0. So it will be moved towards the top right. Then in order to align it in proper location, I have given margin top of 0.45 rem, and in fact the margin right also 0.45 rem. If I don't give that, it won't be aligned properly. It is aligned. Look at this, where it is aligned here. And you can also pass some padding. I have just given a padding. If you don't give that, look at this, how big it is looking, which I don't want. And a border radius of 50 pixels. If you don't give that, still it's going to look pretty ugly. Also a font size of 0.1 rem I have given. If you don't give that also, it's going to be pretty big, which I don't want. So each and every property of the CSS is important to achieve this particular design here. Now, once that is built up, the first part is almost about to complete. Apart from the one that we need to work with is the search bar here. And in order to work with that, I will again work within the toolbar on itself after the iron item, and I'm going to define another iron toolbar, to which I'll give a class of srch bar or any name you can give. And mode, I have turned it to iOS mode. So in the Android device also, you will see the same design as it is in the iOS one. Within this, I'm using an iron row and iron column here. So for the iron column, I've given the first column to have the size of 10 and the second one will have a size of 2. Why I have done that? I'm just going to show you here. This is the one that we have for the search bar, and at the second column we will be having an Iron Fab button, which will be smaller in size and it's going to hold an icon here. That is what we are going to do. So this things is easy to understand, I hope, for you. Nothing much is done here. It's time to get this thing into shape with the help of our CSS, where at first I'm going to pass to my iron item. I'm going to append the iron toolbar here to have the same background transparent, but I just want to pass it only to the srch bar which we have customized. So srch bar custom class which we have given to this particular iron toolbar, only this one I want to change the background. Once that is done, we are good to work with the other things here. which is going to be pretty simple. After the iron item, I'm going to work with the iron toolbar, iron row, giving a background of white color and a border radius of 25 pixel is good to work with. Then some margin I have given on the top left, bottom right. So at the bottom part I have given 8 pixels and on the all other sides I have given 5 pixels. That is how it looks. Now after this is done, I'm going to work with the iron fab button here, giving a box shadow of none. I don't want any shadow part to be present, and the icon within that I'm going to give a font size of 1.3 rem, which looks nice according to me, but I cannot see the icon here for the options outline because we need to register it. So options outline, and I will be seeing it in a second. There you go, you can see it is centered up properly and it's looking pretty nice. And finally, after this is done, it's time to work with the search bar, where I'll give a padding of 0 and a border radius of 25 pixels, just like the one that we have here. And finally, a background of white color is being given. Now a background of white color is given because if I don't give that, just check it out what happens. It will show the default color, which is not great actually. So I just need the background color to be white color and it looks pretty awesome. One last thing I want to do here is to change the size of this search event, the placeholder or the text that you're writing into this search bar, for which there is a class, but if I pass it here, it's not going to work. I need to do it in the global.scss file. I'll go to the global.scss and here I need to pass it, which is going to be search bar input. If it works there, you can definitely try that out, but for me it doesn't work. That is why I'm trying it in the global.scss, and where I'm passing a font size of 0.9 rem, just a little smaller, and it looks perfect. So if you match it up, it is the same design that we have built. Now it's time to work with the data part, which is going to be the upcoming events, the categories that we are going to have, and again the event list. We are going to start off with the upcoming events here, for which we will be needing the data. Let's prepare the data at first and then we are going to jump into the designing part. To prepare the data, let me create a folder within our F folder, which I'm going to name it as data. And also within that, I'm going to create a file called events.ts file, where I'm going to have the events array and one more for the categories array. So I'm going to name the other one as the categories.ts file. Also, I'm going to create interfaces, for which I'll create another folder within the F folder, name it as interfaces, and have one for the category, one for the event. So category.ts, or in fact category.interface.ts, okay, and one more for the event one, event.interface.ts file. Let's prepare the data for it. For the category one, it's pretty simple. I will have an ID, name and image, and this is how we define it up, an interface. So exporting this interface, we can use it wherever I want. And then comes the event one, where I'm going to have this particular data, in which we have the ID, name, date, image, location, then who is going to perform, who are the performers, and any headliners. If you want, you will get a list of it. But we are not going to show these two things in our design. This is just a data. If you want, definitely you can use it up. But all the other things that we have here, definitely we are going to use that up. Now it's time to prepare the data part. First of all, the categories data I'm going to prepare, because the events data is dependent on the category, as we have the category ID within our events, which is must. So for the categories one, this is going to be my data. Let me just show you properly. So export constant categories, which will be an array, and you can give a type also of category array if you want to. I can just pass it here, category interface array. This is how we do it. I have the ID, name and image. These images are already defined into our assets imgs folder. You can just get it from there, from the source code, for which link is there in the description. Now let's move on to the events data, where we actually have lots of things. This is the data that we have prepared, in which we have the events array holding the objects like ID, name, date, the location where it will be performed, and then performers. Well, no headliners here because that was optional. If you don't pass it also, still it won't give you any errors. then the category ID, image and description finally. Now the data is prepared, it's time to work with this data into our home page directly. Now in the home page TS file, I need to prepare some properties here. First of all will be swiper module. You can give any name you want, but it will be equals to Ionic slides. We will be using this slides twice, and means the swiper container I'm going to use it twice for two different things. That is, first of all it's going to be for the upcoming events, then for the categories. But I'm going to use the same swiper module for both the cases. Then an upcoming events array, current events array and categories array. Let's import each and everything and we will be good to go. How about this event one? Is it imported properly? Well, not really. Let me just remove it and try to import it now after just passing it again, because we get the suggestion if we change something. Right now it is imported properly, and one more thing is left is the Ionic slides, which I'm going to pass it here directly and get rid of the errors. Once this data is prepared, I need to initialize the data, which I can do it in the ng oninit. So implements, I need to inherit the interface functions, which is why I'm going to use oninit to work with the ng oninit. If you don't pass nowadays oninit also, still you can directly work with the ng oninit, but still I prefer to pass it. And within the ng oninit, I'm going to initialize my current events to be equals to a copy of the events. Now what is this event? This is the data that I'm going to import directly from the data folder. Within that we have the events.ts file. That is where I'm going to import that particular array. Once that is done, we have no errors and we have got a copy of it. After that, I need to update or initialize the other things also, which is going to be pretty simple. First of all, the upcoming events, I'm going to do what? I'll shuffle the events array in descending order and put it in the upcoming events, so that the current events and the upcoming events looks different, because we have the same data for both the things. Just to show you guys, I have prepared the same data only, but if you want to change, definitely you can. For the time being, I am not changing. In fact, I'm just shuffling it up and showing you too. Alright, now the categories, I am just initializing the copy of it and import it properly. Okay, so this is just a temporary thing that I have done. It's okay to use it up now. So we are ready to design the other things in our home page within the ion content. But before that, for the ion content, I'm going to pass the color of light. Alright, once that is done, let me work with an ion list and ion list header here. For the ion list, I've given some margin top and an ion list header mode of iOS, and it will hold our title upcoming events, which is looking great here. Then comes the swiper part. So this is what we are going to do, that we have seen earlier on itself. For the swiper container, we have a identifier, then the modules, slides per view. I want to show 1.35 slides. Earlier we haven't used it for the welcome screen, but here I need to use it up, and keyboard to be true, center slides to be true, or it will center up each and every slide. That is what it means. And we are using a loop here for the upcoming events, within which we are going to work with the swiper slide, and where I'm going to have the design of a card here. To get rid of the error, let's go to our TS file of the home page and pass custom schema. After the imports, I'm going to pass schemas, and custom element schema is imported. Once that is imported from @angular/core, the error will go away and we will be able to work with the other stuff to get the design that we need. Now for the ion card, I'll pass a class, any user defined class, let me call it event1, and a router link I have passed to go to the event single screen page. If you click on that, which we haven't designed for the time being, but I'm just passing the router link. This is how it's going to be. Okay. Now let me go to the homepage TS file to import the router link. Otherwise we might get error if I click on that, which I don't want. So let me pass it here, as we have already seen the implementation of the router link. Let's go to homepage HTML and start working with that. The next thing in the design is the ion item within our ion card. So ion item whose lines will be none, so no lines at the bottom, and within which I will have my thumbnail. Okay, where I'm going to have the ion image tag, ion img tag, which will hold my image, and then I'll work with the ion label, within which I will have an ion text or and two p text for the title and the location to show up, which is okay. But just one error for this date pipe that I'm using, I need to import it in the TS file in the imports one. Then I'll get rid of the error and I can use it up directly into my application the way it is being used here as of now. But I still have one more error, which I'm just going to sort it out by hovering on it. Let's check it out. Alright, the issue is that ion label tag is not closed. Now it is fine. There you go. You can see the data coming up and it is in a proper way because we have given 1.35 slides per view. So it is looking nice, which is in fact great to work with. So this is working nicely and we need to design it up. It's not looking that good. So you can see the data is coming up. It's time to design it and achieve the same result that we saw into the image one, for which I'll go to the SCSS and work with that. Let me start working with the ion content here, within which I am going to have the ion list, where I'm going to get the background to be transparent so that it has the background color by default. And here there is no default CSS property -- background. So we have to use directly the background one, the CSS for the background one. After that, for the ion list header, I am just going to pass the font size to be 1.3 rem will be fine, little bigger and it would be great. Now the ion card that I'm using here, I'm just going to give a border radius of 25 pixels to each and every card that I use within the home page. After doing that, I'm going to start working with the event one class that we have defined for the ion card, and I'm separating these two because I'm just going to apply the same border radius to each and every card that I'll be using here. That is why I'm not passing it here. Otherwise, I have to replicate things again and again. Now I need to align all the content within the ion card to center along with a height of 8 rem fixed, along with a margin of 15 pixels on top and bottom and left and right of 5 pixels. This is how it looks like after doing that. Still, the design game is not over because we have the ion item within that, with which I will design it up in this particular way by working with the ion thumbnail here, passing a width and height of a different shape to achieve this particular result here, where I am passing a height little bigger than the width. And for the ion image, I am giving the same border radius, but this time this is the default CSS here applicable, as we have the --. This is how this is getting differentiated from the normal CSS that we use. And then for the ion label, I'll just simply work with the date because that is what we are passing at the very beginning. I'm just defining a font size little smaller with a color of gray. Then for the title one, little bigger font size and margin top of 5 pixels along with font weight to be bold. And finally, this particular location that we have here, I'm passing a font size of 0.85 rem and a margin top of 10 pixels. Little more margin I have given between the title and the location here, but we don't see the icon. In order to see the icon into our home page, I need to go to the TS file of the home page and register it up in the constructor itself. That's going to be location outline. This is the one, and it is imported. All right, once that is done, we see the icon coming up. So just look at the design here. It's looking lovely, right? I'm happy with this design. It's time to work with the other things that is going to be our categories. So once again, I'm going to have another ion list in which I'm going to pass a class of ion margin top to have some little spacing from the top side. Okay, and within that I will be having an ion item divider. Mode will be iOS and color will be light. The title will be top picks. That is what we have here. Then I'm passing an image. If I just remove it, it's going to be fine. I've removed the image and passing a button at the end part where I'm passing fill to be clear and color of medium. Just giving view all. If you click on that, you can view all the categories, but we haven't designed it for the functionality part. Just for the designing part, we have done that. And this particular image, it will come up in a smaller way with the top picks. So let's design it up into our SCSS here. Now in the CSS, we already have an ion list defined. Within the ion list, if I work with the ion list header, we have already passed it up the font size, and I need the same font size for our ion item divider, so we can directly work with that here itself. And in fact, what I can do is I'll just move it within the ion list and in fact add some more CSS to it. like this particular one. I'm having ion item divider also to have the same font size. Along with that, for the ion item divider, we have a button to which I'm just going to decorate it with underline. So this looks in this particular way, and the image that we have here, I'm just going to give some margin left. I'm just giving a height of 1 rem and width also of 1 rem. It looks smaller, precise, and looks wow. Let's get back to our HTML part again, and after this ion item divider, we again need to work with the swiper container, and along with that, within that, we need to work with the swiper slide. And the design is pretty simple, so let me just show you directly here. This is the swiper container that we have. It starts with just an identifier that I'm passing as category. You can remove it or pass it. We are not using that up. Then the modules one, where I'm passing the swiper modules. So slides per view, I have changed it to 2.6 because I need at least 2 categories, 2.5 categories in a single view. Keyboard to be true and center slides to be true. These are just optionals. You can remove it also if you don't want to pass. Pagination we don't want here. That is why I'm not doing anything for that. Then within the swiper slide, I'm working with the card once again, and within that I am having an ion item where ion avatar is being used this time, in which I am passing an ion img tag where I'll have my images. The first image is going to be all.png. This is how it looks like. If you want to fetch all the events of all the categories, then definitely this all will come into play. Apart from that, a loop will be run for the categories one, where we will have the same design only, but we will have the category name and image dynamically. Okay, that is how this particular data is coming up. So all these are defined dynamically. We have got the data into our design part, but the design is not looking that great. Let's work on the UI part and fix it to look the way we have seen in the images. For which, after this event one, I'm going to work with the ion card category class that we have defined. If I just want to show you to the HTML where I have done that, this is the one. To this ion card I have passed a different class. That's what I have worked with, passing a class of category, passing a height of 4 rem here, fixing it up, aligning all the items to center vertically, which is looking great, and giving some margin towards the top little more, and left, right, and bottom of 5 pixels, which is okay for me. Then within that we have the ion label within the ion item that we have there. I'm just fixing the font size and weight to this particular one, 0.8 rem, and 550 is the font weight, which is in fact great. And for the ion avatar, well, I have given a background color with an opacity of 0.1 to make it look pretty awesome. I'm using the primary color stuff only. These are the primary color stuff. If you want to see, let me show you up in the themes variable part. So we have the value as 232, 31, 145, which will be same as it is defined here for the RGB colors. So that is what I have taken and given an opacity of 0.1. It is looking light and lovely. Within that, I have centered up everything by giving display to be flex and justify content to be centered, align items to be centered to vertically and horizontally. Everything will be centered up properly. After that, finally, I am working with the ion img tag and passing a height and width of 1.3 rem to make it look the way it is looking right now. So once that is done, the category part is properly achieved. It's time to move ahead and work with the current events part, where we will show the event design also. So let's move ahead. After the ion list, I'm going to work with the loop here, within which I'm going to work with the ion card once again. So let me pass a loop within which an ion card, and I'll just close the loop. Okay, this is how it's going to look like. As of now, I won't see anything because we don't have any data within the ion card. Just given a background color to it. That's it. So here I've given another class called event2. Let's work with that because this is the second events part that we are going to work with after the upcoming one. So just giving any names here, but that's not the main part. We need to work with that here directly. I'm going to pass ion card and the class name is event2, where I'm going to work with the margin, background position, background size, and background repeat. Now still I won't be seeing anything until unless I pass a height. Let me pass a height of 15 rem will be better, I think. Let's check it out. Now you see, we do see some data, and after this, the margin that I am passing to the top and bottom 5 pixel and left and right of 10 pixels is looking great here. This is very much needed when you're working with the background image like I explained earlier, which is looking great. Now I need some data here, and I'm going to use Ion item for that to align everything properly. Let's go to our HTML and design it up. The Ion item that we need to work with, this is the Ion item where lines is none, Ion label I am passing, date I'm using it here. Okay, at first I'm going to pass date, then what I need the name, and on the right side I just want to show the arrow forward outline button. Okay, that is what we need to use it. So this is how it looks for the Ion item, but that's not what we want. We need to design it up in order to achieve the design that we have already seen into the images one. For which again I will go to the SCSS part. Too much of a SCSS we are using it here because that is what is important from a design perspective. And I'm trying to use as minimum CSS as possible, but still it's quite a lot. First of all, I need to align this content towards the end part, for which I'll use align content to be end. Now let's see. Okay, it is aligned towards the bottom part, and then I will work with the Ion item here, in which I will have this particular design where border radius I am giving and a background of some opacity, like I have just given any RGBA color because I need to pass the opacity of 0.05 to give you the look and feel of a blurrish background. That is why I'm using it up. And to make it more blurrish, I'm using backdrop filter to have the glass effect. Then some margin is being given to have a proper look and feel, and some margin will look nice in this design. Now finally, within the Ion item, few more things are left. One is the Ion label, for which I'll just change the font size and the color here, making it light color. And for the P tag, that is our title or the name, I'm giving margin top, font size, font weight, and the color to be the white one, which is looking great and differentiated properly. The second part is what is the Ion fab. Now in the Ion fab, I just changed the background to an RGBA color, just like the same one only, where we are having the opacity of approximately 0.25. Now we don't see the icon arrow forward outline because we haven't registered it yet. Let's go to our TS file of the home page and register it up into the constructor. So arrow forward outline, this is the one. If I click on it, it will be imported and we will be able to see the design here. Just look at it. If you don't change the theming part, then it will be of the black color. That is why I've changed it, and you see the white color here. So how powerful it is. Just look at it. We have achieved the same design into our homepage that you saw within the promo and in fact in the image too. Now it's time to move ahead and work with this single event data page, for which I need to create another page, Ionic G page. Within the home folder, I'm just going to create an event page. Let me hit enter and it will be created. There you go. We will have the routing within the app.route.ts file because there is no other routing file within the home or anywhere else. Now I'm going to change it to event/:id. That's how we can pass an ID also, or a dynamic value here, and fetch it with the help of this ID that we have given here. So now everything is good to go. The routing that we have defined works fine. If I click on it, look at this, nothing is happening here. Why? Because we haven't given router link or what? Actually, we have given the router link, still it doesn't work. The reason is, if I go to the app.routes.ts file, the path is event/:id, but the actual path that we have given is home/event/id, for which I need to change it into the nested routes, or you can use a shared URL also just by passing home/event/id. If you do that up, if you click on it, you can see it is getting redirected to the event single page. But I don't want that. I want to use nested route, for which I'll make it children of it, the home one, an array, and pass the path, an empty path, where I'm going to call this particular component of the home one. Okay. After this is done, I will move this path for the events one within the children of the home page. If I do so, I don't need to use this home anymore, because within this path there is no component that is getting loaded. We have children, in which the first path that is getting loaded by default is the home one itself, and the second one, if you call the events part properly, then events one will be getting called. If I try it up, just look at it, there you go, it's opening up. Let's design it up now. Now in our events page, let me remove everything. We will be just needing the iron content here, where full screen will be true and the color will be light color. Let me remove everything from the TS also. We don't need anything here. Let me remove each and every stuff. Okay, everything will be imported whichever we need, and remove the rest of the part. Let's go to our events.page.ts file, HTML file actually, and it is imported, the iron content one. Within the iron content, I will be having an iron header whose slot will be fixed, because I want it to be fixed, as I just need the back button there, for which I am using the toolbar and the iron buttons, just like we use it in the header part. Then within that I am using the iron back button, where the color will be light, and default it's going to redirect to the home page. And for the iron header, I'm just passing iron no border. You won't be able to see anything because the color is light color as of now. Let's go to our CSS and work with that. But before that, I have given a mode of MD here, not the iOS one by default, because we need just the arrow part, not any text or something there. Now for the header part, we need to do some styling here. This is going to be the styling where I'm passing margin of 8 pixels, background to be transparent. You won't be able to see anything as of now, but just the back button. Okay. Now for the toolbar, I am making the background to be transparent and the color base also to be transparent, making the iron button background also to be little blurrish type, and border radius of 50 pixel. That is why it is round shaped, making it just like a fab button. And then within that we have the iron button. So this is it. Just passing the border radius will do the job for us. The color within that is the light color that we have provided. Everything is good to go. It's time to work with the other stuff, which is going to be a div after the iron header. So let me just pass a div whose class will be bg container, any class I'm giving, and again that within that div I have another div whose background image I'm passing it as like the event image that we get from that particular event, and a customized class of bg I have just provided. Now before moving ahead, I need to get the data of the event, right? If I don't get the data from the event one, definitely it's going to give me errors. And if you would like to check the URL, you see home/event/1. That is what it is coming up, and I need to fetch this ID, match it with the array of the events that we have, and fetch the one that is matching it up. Now to achieve this particular part, I am going to first of all define a property called event, which will be of type event, and I've given an exclamation symbol to define that this won't be an empty one. Then I'm just injecting the activated route in this particular way, directly not passing it in the constructor and using it here, okay, with the help of the inject function. Now I'm going to create a function called getEvent, where I'll accept an ID in which the event value will be initialized to that value from the array. Let me import the array at first, which will be matching with the ID here. Okay, so that is very, very important. Alright, this is giving me an array because this particular event is not imported. Let me just remove the T and pass it again to import it properly from the interface, because there is a event default tag also available. That is why be careful when you're working with something which is already available. Okay, now the errors are gone, and in the ng on it, I'm going to make use of the activated route to get my ID value. So this is what we are going to use it, this.route.snapshot.paramap.get, and the name has to be the same ID that we have passed there. That's how we get the ID. If it is available, then I'm going to call the getEvent function passing the ID there. If I click on get started here and click on any item, I will be able to fetch the data, which I can see it in the console log, hopefully. Okay, I won't be able to see because I have not logged it up. Let me just do it. I'll just log the data here, console.log ID. Let's check it out now. What do we see? We see the ID 1. That's great. And the data will also be coming up. You will just see it in a moment when we pass some more things here. Okay, or actually if we define this height of it, by default there is no height that is defined here, and because of that we don't see any image showing up. So for the div part, in the class that we have called BG, I'm passing a width of 100% and height of 22 rem will be fine according to me. Border radius 25 pixels, and the other stuff for the background size, repeat, position, and the background color, I've just passed it. Background color I'm passing just to be on the safe side, the light color, because we have the light color for the iron content too. Okay, once that is done, everything is good to go, but I need some margin here, so I'm going to use the BG container class. So let me just pass the BG container class. A margin of 8 pixel will be fine, and we'll move this div within this particular one. There won't be any change here. Okay, so we have achieved the first part, that is this particular design. We have designed the same part. Then for the next part, we are going to use an iron item. Again, this will be within an iron card that I'm going to provide, and finally this part will be within the footer itself. Okay, so let's do it. In the HTML, after this div, I'm going to work with an iron item here, okay, within which I'm going to have the iron label, both of them. For the iron item, lines will be none, and to the iron label, I've just given a class called event info to design it in our CSS, which we're going to see in some time. But before that, we need to pass some more data here. To achieve this particular design, I'm going to use an iron row and column. Okay, just look how I'm doing the same. If you pass two different columns, then the spacing will be more. It's better to do it in a single column itself, for which I'll pass an iron row and iron column, within which I'm having the iron icon, and the first one is the date. Then we have another icon for the location outline, and then we have the location here. Okay, so how it will look, I'm just going to show you up. First, get rid of the error. In the events page, in the constructor, I'm going to register the icon called calendar outline. So let's do it. Calendar outline will be the one. Calendar, this is the one, outline. Anything else we need? I think I need the location outline also, because if it will be loaded, then it won't find it as it is registered in the home page, I think. So we need to register it again here. Once it is registered, it won't be duplicated if you have somewhere else the same icon defined twice. Okay, to get rid of the error now, I need the date pipe also. Let's import that. So I'll import it within the imports one, date pipe. This is the one imported, and the error will go away now. You can see this is coming up properly. If I don't pass it up, you will see a warning and the icon won't show up. Okay, that is why you need to pass it. So far so good. The last thing that we need to do within our iron item is to work with the pricing and the seats available. That is what I'm passing it here on the right side. Now this is looking pretty bad. I need to design it a lot more to achieve the design that we see into the image one. Look at this. This is quite clean. Okay, and look at this, looking horrible. Let's fix it. I'll go to the SCSS and fix it up now. To start with, I'm going to work with the iron item, and we'll do what? In this, I'll at first fix the inner padding end. So this padding end, I'm just going to reduce it. Along with that, I'm going to give some margin of 8 pixels and border radius of 25 pixels, which is the default one, default CSS available for the iron item. And padding end, I'm just changing it to 8 pixels. It was probably 16 pixel or something. So I changed it up. You will be able to see the impact in some time. Now let's work with the iron label here, and I need to pass the font size. I need to change it to make it bigger. It looks bigger now. So the bold font weight is looking good, but I need it only for the title or the name, not for all the things available here. Well, to make the changes, I need to work with the iron row and iron column. So for the iron row, I'll pass some margin top of 8 pixel, font size and font weight. I'm just going to make it normal and font size of 0.8 rem, quite small, with a color of gray color. And for the iron column, I'm just going to remove the default padding that will be applied here. And there is a class that I've defined to the location. Let me just show you. This is my location, where I'm passing a class of LOC. That is what I'm defining in the SCSS, to give a margin left, to have some spacing between these two. Okay, if these two have some spacing, it will look pretty nice. Otherwise it will look clumsy. I don't want that. Now finally, we need to work with the div that is available here towards the slot end. Well, how we can proceed with that? Let me just show you. I'm going to work directly with this particular div here, just passing in this particular way, or you can define it class also to that. But I prefer to do it in this particular way as it is quite simple to work with. Margin of 8 pixels and 0 to left and right. Only top and bottom margin is being given. Then a background color of light color, and it gives you the light color feeling with a border radius of 25 pixels. Looking nice. Height and width is fixed to 6 rem. That is why it is holding all the stuff properly. Aligning all the content at the center part. Then making the changes into the ion label and the p tag that we have within the div. So the ion label size is quite big, 1.4 rem, and it is bold too. But for the p tag, we have some margin at the top side, at the top, and font weight of 0.8 rem with a color of gray, looking nice and sweet. Now just imagine the way we have seen it earlier, and now after applying the CSS, it looks pretty clean, isn't it? And this is the same design that we have seen earlier. So quite simply, we have changed it into the one that we need. Let's achieve the same with this particular design also. So after this ion item, I will again work with the ion card here, within which I will have an ion list and an ion list header part. Ion list header will hold add event, and let me just close this ion list. Okay. And then we will have a p tag also, where I'm giving some margin horizontal. That means on the left and right side, I'm giving a margin. That will be the default margin that will be applied, because this is the default class ion margin horizontal. Okay. And where I'm going to pass the description. We have already seen that we have the description within the events. So the description is going to show up in this particular way here. Fine. We are going to work with the design part, but let's fix the data that we have. Now the next part is pretty interesting, because we need to align at least 3 images, and the fourth one will show up the number of participants, at least a approximate number like 2k plus participants are there. That is what we need to design, and for achieving this result, we are going to use row and column. So after the p tag, I'm going to have an ion row, within which I will be defining an ion column, where align all the items to center, and after doing that, I'll have 3 ion avatar, in fact 4 ion avatar. The first 3 will hold the image, avatar 1, 2 and 3 for 3 images. Alright, and the fourth one will be having the text. That is what we have done so far. I'm giving class of participant to the other 3 except the first one, and have a customized BG avatar class to the fourth one. Okay, now it's time to align it in the way you have seen in the image, for which I'll go to the SCSS, or should I add one more column to it for the participant all around the world? Let's do that, because that is also pretty simple to work with. I will be having another ion column, passing a class ion align item center, and participant text is the customized class that I'm going to work with. Then an ion label, ion text I am passing of color dark. Strong tag I have given for making it bold, and the text will be participant. Then a p tag is being passed within the ion label, which will show all over the world, and it's going to show in this particular way. Now let's align it in our CSS. So first thing first, I'm going to work with the ion card, making the box shadow to be none, and in fact a border radius of 25 pixel. I'm just going to pass it there. Then working with the ion list, with the ion list header, I'll change the font size and font weight to bold. Once I do that up, look at this. This is looking good. The header part, little smaller, which is nice. Then I'm going to work with the ion row here. So ion row, and within which I'm going to pass a margin of 8 pixels, and within that we have the ion column, whose display I've turned it to flex. And to the ion avatar, I'm fixing the height and width to be 3 rem, giving a background of white color, and to the image giving some padding of 2 pixels to make it look nice. But still the designing part is not over yet. We need to do something more. So we have some padding here, which is looking great. Now I'm going to work with the user defined class, that is the participant class, which is very interesting to work with, because I'm going to give margin left of minus 10 pixels and change the text we have within that to have a font weight of bold and font size to be 0.8 rem. Let me just toggle it, It's looking nice. So as soon as I give some margin left, it will be overlapping one over the other. So this design looks pretty awesome. The next part is to work with the participant text that we have. This is the one. So I have changed the ion label and p tag to have the same font size of 0.8 rem. That's it. Now one thing is left here is to work with this particular text. It is not aligned properly, and in fact this box is also not aligned properly. We need to work with that. For doing the changes into this particular one, we have a different class defined, that is BG avatar. Let's work with that class now. So this is the BG avatar class where I am passing the background to be of the light color along with a height and width of 2.5 rem with ion content aligned to be centered up. Once I do that up, look at this, it is also aligned properly, little smaller in size than the other images that we have, which is looking great, and everything is centered up properly. Let's go to our event page HTML1, and here after the ion row, I'll work with another ion list header and a div of class map where I'm going to pass a map PNG. So this is what the map PNG will look like. We already have it into our assets folder. So the ion list header title is fine. We just need to work with this particular div where we have a user defined class called map. We just need to pass some border radius and margin. That will work for us. So let's go to our SCSS and do it quickly. I'll do it after this BG avatar, or in fact I need to get out of this ion row and pass it up. Now it's working, right? Just check this out. This is looking nice. So everything is looking same here except the one that is left is the footer part. Let's design it up too. So how to approach with this design? Well, basically you can see we have a footer, and I'll put this design within an ion toolbar within the ion footer, and then we can use an ion row to divide it into two columns, which will be great because it will be aligned pretty nicely if we work with columns here. So that will be my approach, and then we will have an ion button along with that a ion fab button. So this is the approach that I'm going to apply here. Let's check it out how it looks like. Let me pass it. So I'm having an ion footer here where no border I'm passing. Okay, ion no border, that's the default one. So like I said, I'm having the ion row, then the ion column. First one will have a bigger size, so size 10 I'm giving it up. For the second one that I'm going to have, I'm giving a size of 2. That's gonna be fine. For the size 10, I'm passing an ion button, expand block, shape round, color primary, size large, and the text within that should be bold, that is why strong true. And then we have an ion text where I'm passing by ticket name. Then for the second one, I'm having the ion fab button color light, and within that we have an ion icon. It is not showing up here. We just need to register that up to work with it. So the name will be HUD outline that we are going to use, and the color will be primary. Let's do that. I will now register the HUD outline one. So HUD outline, hit enter, and it will be imported. You will see the icon here now. Everything is good to go, but the alignment is not proper, for which we will go to our SCSS and work with that. So in the CSS file, I'll work with the ion footer this time. So in the ion footer, I'll simply work with the ion column directly, passing align content to be spaced around to have some spacing all over. Okay. And for the ion button, ion text, I'm passing a font size of 0.9 rem because I want this text to be a little smaller in size. Now if I pass a color to the toolbar, how it will show up? Let's see. Let me give background to be of white color and a margin of 0 and 8 pixels on only left hand side. What will happen? Let's see. It's not applied properly. Now either you can keep the design in this particular way, or you can go one step ahead to achieve some more things out of it, which we can do. Let me just show you one thing. If I just get this iron row outside of iron toolbar, okay, let's see what happens. Look at this. This is just the transparency that you are getting, but I don't want that. What am I going to do in the SCSS? I'm going to make the color or background of the footer to be the light color and work with the iron row here, making the background of it to be the white color one, giving it a margin of, let's say, 0 and left and right 15 pixels will be fine, I think. Along with that, if I pass border bottom left radius and right radius of 25 pixels, this is how it's going to show up. And if this is moved, you will see, okay, fine, this is okay. But as soon as you just scroll down, this is the basic view that you're going to see. It will be looking like this is merged up, right? That's what the feeling you are going to get, which is in fact good to have. So you can just play around with the design as per your requirement. So this particular heart symbol is just touching the line. I don't want that. If I give some padding, right, of let's see 5 pixel, let's see how it works. I think it would be better. I can see some padding here, but if I give 10 pixel, it would be better, I think. Yeah, I think it's fine. So just play around with the data here and there with the CSS. I'm just giving it in pixels. If you don't want that, definitely you can try giving it in REM or VH. That will look nice, because if I just make it responsive, then it might break a little bit, I suppose. It's not breaking here. It is looking much more responsive for all the devices that you can work with. Okay, so I'm happy with the design part here. Now, after everything is done, I have come back to the welcome screen once again, because I would like to show you the autoplay thing here. We are using Swiper version 11 right now, and there is an issue with the autoplay. If I try to work with autoplay directly in this particular way by passing it as true, well, you will see that this will not work. So if this is not working, what can be the possible issues that can come up? So because of this problem, we won't be able to use the autoplay now. And to solve this, if I remove this up, I just saw that it is working. Let me just show you that part. You will see that the autoplay will start working. There you go. But we are not able to set the timing or the delay for that. So I hope they fix that in the coming versions, but for the time being, yes, this is the solution for the autoplay one. That's it. We have completed the events application, and I'm sure you must have liked it. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel, leave a like and hit the bell icon to get all the notifications. This content is for free and it will help the channel grow. So stay tuned to the channel for more valuable content and level up your coding only on Coding Techniques.